This chic styler works so fast, you know what they call it? The speed styler.
It's so fast. I can wash my hair whenever I want to.
I looked around a modern house the other day. I saw carbon monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers, soft close cabinets, and rubber corner guards on the coffee table. And it made me realize the 1970s were a lawless wasteland. Back then, we didn't baby-proof our homes. We filled them with open flames, boiling oil, and toys that were literally designed to pierce human skulls. Your living room wasn't a sanctuary. It was an obstacle course, where the penalty for failure was a trip to the ER in a station wagon without seatbelts. We thought we were living the American dream. Turns out, we were just testing our luck on a daily basis. Let's take a walk through the ultimate domestic danger zone. Here are 15 everyday household items from the 70s that were secretly trying to take us out. Number 1. Lawn darts. The backyard lobotomy. Let's start with the undisputed heavyweight champion of dangerous toys, Jarts. The commercials and the box art showed a wholesome family tossing these things around at a summer barbecue. It looked like horseshoes, but cooler. The reality? You are handing children heavy aerodynamic metal spikes and telling them to throw them as high as possible into the air. Gravity did the rest. These things came down with enough force to pierce a car roof, let alone a human head. Strategy wasn't about aiming for the plastic yellow ring on the ground. Strategy was about standing perfectly still, looking up at the sun, and praying your cousin didn't have a terrible throwing arm. They were eventually banned for obvious reasons. But for a solid decade, every backyard birthday party was technically a medieval siege reenactment. Number 2. The home deep fryer. The countertop volcano. In the 70s, we didn't fear cholesterol. We feared the FryDaddy. Commercials promised restaurant-quality French fries right in your own kitchen. What they actually sold you was a bucket of oil heated to 400 degrees, sitting right on the slippery laminate countertop, usually with a flimsy magnetic cord dangling dangerously off the edge. There was no locking lid. There were no automatic shut-off safety sensors, just a cauldron of boiling magma that made the whole house smell like a fast food joint for 3 days straight. We used it to make fries, donuts, and hush puppies. But mostly, we used it to test our reflexes. One bump of that table by a hyperactive 8-year-old, and you were looking at a major skin graft. Yet, we all gathered around it like a cozy campfire, waiting for the crinkle cuts to float. Number 3. Asbestos Hair Dryers. The toxic blowout. Beauty comes at a price. In the 70s, that price was your lung capacity. Before we knew any better, major appliance manufacturers lined their handheld hair dryers with asbestos. Why? Because the commercials boasted about how hot these dryers could get, and asbestos was great at insulating heat and preventing the plastic casing from melting into your hand. The irony, of course, is that while it stopped the dryer from catching fire, it was blasting microscopic shards of carcinogens directly into your face every single morning. You'd stand there in the bathroom for 20 minutes, breathing in the fresh, hot air, trying to get that perfect Farrah Fawcett feathered wave, completely unaware that your daily beauty routine was classified as a biohazard. But hey, at least your hair had incredible volume. Number 4. The chemistry set. The Breaking Bad starter kit. Modern science kits come with baking soda, vinegar, and maybe some food coloring. 70s chemistry sets came with actual, unregulated chemicals. We're talking things that could poison you, burn your skin off, or blow a small but significant hole in the shag carpet. The marketing told parents this would turn their kids into the next Albert Einstein. Some kits even included alcohol burners, literal open flames that you, an unsupervised 10-year-old in a flammable polyester shirt, were expected to manage while mixing sulfur and charcoal. The instruction manual was basically a list of cool ways to void your parents' home insurance. We mixed the blue powder with the red powder, hoped it wouldn't explode, and felt like absolute geniuses. The only thing we actually learned was that burning sulfur smells like rotten eggs and panic. Number 5. Clackers. The glass grenades. It was a painfully simple toy. 2 heavy acrylic spheres attached to a piece of string. You swung them up and down to make a satisfying, rapid-fire clack, clack, clack sound. The commercials made it look like a fun rhythm game. The problem was the manufacturing material. The original Clackers were made of a hard, tempered acrylic that, when smashed together repeatedly at high speeds, had a terrifying tendency to shatter. You weren't just playing with a toy, you were spinning 2 shrapnel grenades inches from your face. And if they didn't shatter and blind you, they just missed their arc and bruised your wrist bones so badly you couldn't hold a number 2 pencils for a week. They were eventually recalled, but not before every kid in the neighborhood had a welt on their forearm the size of a plum. Hey, real talk. If you're watching this and actively checking your wrists for old clacker scars, or if you can still remember the smell of a FryDaddy on a Sunday afternoon, hit that subscribe button. It helps Americana Rewind keep the lights on, and it ensures I can keep researching these vintage death traps without my health insurance premiums going up. All right, back to the danger zone. Number 6. The Thingmaker, the molten plastic foundry. Why buy your kid a plastic bug when they could forge their own in a literal countertop foundry? The Thingmaker promised endless fun, creating rubbery spiders and centipedes. What the ads glossed over was the process. You filled metal molds with a toxic-smelling liquid called plastigoop, and then placed those molds directly onto an open electric hot plate that reached 400 degrees Fahrenheit. You were basically operating heavy industrial machinery in your kitchen. To get your rubber bug out, you had to pull the blistering hot metal tray off the burner with a flimsy pair of tongs. The house smelled like melting tires, and the sheer number of second-degree burns inflicted by this toy probably funded a new wing at the local hospital. Number 7. Indoor sun lamps, the bedroom solar flare. In the 70s, pale was out, and an aggressive, leathery tan was the ultimate status symbol. If you lived in the snowy Midwest, the solution was the indoor sun lamp. Commercials promised a healthy, sun-kissed glow year-round. What you got was a completely unregulated, high-intensity UV radiation bulb that you aimed directly at your face from 2 feet away. There were no timers or automatic shutoffs. If you fell asleep while sitting in front of the sun lamp, you didn't wake up with a tan. You woke up with a medical emergency. The light was so bright it could damage your retinas, and the smell in the room was a deeply unsettling mix of ozone and roasting human skin. It was an instant sunburn machine disguised as a health product.
Number 8. Lead paint, the sweetest poison. If you lived in a house built before 1978, your walls were likely coated in a delicious, durable layer of lead. The ads promised paint that was bright, washable, and wouldn't easily scuff. And it was all of those things. But lead paint had one massive, tragic flaw. It tasted sweet. That's right, sweet. So if a chip flaked off the baseboard or the windowsill, a crawling toddler's very first instinct was to eat it like a potato chip. We were literally living inside a toxic candy shell. Parents didn't know any better. They just thought the nursery looked absolutely fantastic in that shade of brain damage yellow. We grew up fine, mostly, but it definitely explains a lot about the erratic decision-making of the decades that followed. Number 9. The fondue pot, the tabletop inferno. Nothing said sophistication in the 70s quite like dipping chunks of stale bread into a communal pot of boiling cheese. The fondue craze was huge. Commercials told us it was the ultimate way to entertain guests. But think about the actual logistics for a second. You put a heavy pot of boiling oil or molten cheese dead in the center of a crowded dining table. You balanced it on a flimsy, lightweight wire stand, and you heated it with a can of sterno, an open, jelly-based fire. Then, you gave everyone long, sharp metal spears and encouraged them to reach across the open flame while heavily drinking cheap wine. It was a recipe for absolute disaster. Tablecloths caught fire. Laps were scalded by dripping Gruyere, but we felt so incredibly European doing it that we happily ignored the third-degree burns. Number 10. Glass soda bottles, the grocery store landmines. Before cheap, bouncy plastic took over the beverage aisle,
Soda came in glass, and not just the cute little single-serve bottles. We had the massive, heavy 64-ounce glass jugs. The ads promised family-sized refreshment. What they delivered was a slippery hazard. These things would get coated in condensation and weighed about 5 pounds. Carrying them from the station wagon to the kitchen was a legitimate forearm workout, but dropping one? That was a seismic event. When a giant glass soda bottle hit the linoleum kitchen floor, it didn't just break, it exploded. The high carbonation turned it into a fragmentation grenade, sending razor-sharp shards of glass flying into the next room. You'd be finding sticky pieces of glass under the refrigerator 3 years later. We learned grip strength purely out of survival instinct. Number 11. Wood-burning kits. The child's soldering iron. We loved arts and crafts in the 70s, and what better way to express a child's creativity than handing them a red-hot metal spike that plugs directly into the wall. The wood-burning kit was marketed as a fun, creative hobby. The reality was that it was a soldering iron for elementary schoolers. The tip of the pen got to about 800 degrees. You were supposed to slowly trace pictures of horses and eagles onto cheap pieces of balsa wood. Instead, the pen would slip, singeing your fingers, melting the plastic power cord, and leaving the distinct smell of a forest fire hovering in your bedroom. Drop it on the carpet? Congratulations, you just branded the shag rug for life.
Number 12. Waterbeds. The sloshing ceiling wrecker. The waterbed was the ultimate status symbol of a groovy 70s bedroom. The ads promised you'd sleep floating on a cloud of relaxation, but owning one was a massive liability. First, there was the weight. You were dragging a 2,000-pound bladder of water onto the second floor of a cheaply built suburban home and just praying the floor joists wouldn't give out. Then came the temperature issue. To keep from freezing to death, waterbeds required a high-voltage electric heating pad placed directly underneath the giant bag of water. If you sprang a leak, and you definitely sprang a leak, you had an indoor flood mixing directly with a live electrical current. It smelled like warm vinyl and mildew and required the maintenance of a backyard swimming pool. Number 13. Radiant space heaters. The glowing coils of doom. When the energy crisis hit and central heating became too expensive, families huddled around the radiant space heater. These weren't the quiet, cool-to-the-touch ceramic heaters we have today. These were heavy metal boxes with zero safety grills, featuring wire coils that glowed bright, angry orange when plugged in. They were basically open toasters sitting on your living room floor. If you walked too close in your wide-leg polyester pants, you'd melt the fabric to your leg. If a stray newspaper or blanket drifted within 2 feet of the coils, it would instantly combust. They kept us warm, but we had to sleep with one eye open just to make sure the house didn't go up in smoke. Number 14. The electric blanket, the sleep toaster. If you didn't have the space heater, you definitely had the electric blanket. The 70s electric blanket was a marvel of both comfort and severe anxiety. The internal wires were thick, stiff, and lumpy, so it felt like you were sleeping underneath a layer of chicken wire. And the temperature control was a clunky plastic dial that really only had 2 functional settings: ice age and surface of the sun. You'd wake up in the middle of the night drenched in sweat, with a vague, terrifying smell of scorching cotton in the air, wondering if you were being slow-cooked in your own bed. They were notorious for shorting out and singing the sheets, but it was worth the risk to not freeze in your poorly insulated bedroom. Number 15. The Easy Bake Oven, the light bulb bakery. And finally, the classic toy that taught an entire generation of kids that culinary patience is incredibly painful: the Easy Bake Oven. The commercials showed smiling girls pulling perfect, beautiful mini cakes out of a plastic oven. In reality, it was a melting plastic box powered by a searing hot 100-watt incandescent light bulb. That bulb got incredibly hot. Barely hot enough to bake a tiny, sad cake, but definitely hot enough to sear the fingerprints off your hand if you tried to retrieve your dessert too fast. You'd mix the weird, chemical-tasting powder with tap water, slide the metal pan into the slot, and stare at the glowing light for 20 minutes. The result was a half-raw brownie the size of a quarter, but the real thrill was the game of operation you had to play to get the hot pan out without touching the scorching metal sides. We lived among poisons, projectiles, and tabletop fire hazards, and we genuinely thought it was completely normal.
Honestly, maybe that's why our generation is so resilient today. If you can survive a competitive game of Jarts, followed by a snack straight out of the FryDaddy, you can survive just about anything life throws at you. What was the most dangerous item sitting in your childhood home? Did you have the lawn darts? Or maybe you had one of those weird space heaters in the bathroom that always smelled like burning dust. Tell me your survival stories in the comments below. Thanks for watching Americana Rewind. Be safe out there, and maybe go check the expiration date on your fire extinguisher. See you next time.